Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. On our last tutorial, I dropped a detailed video on how to draft this particular style. Today, we are going to be learning on how to sew this dress. So let's get started. To start with, I place my pattern on my fabric, and for this style, I'm using 3 years. You can use more than that. You can use 3.5 or maybe 4 years of this fabric if you're on a bigger size. So now I'm going to be cutting it out. I added my sewing allowance on the front pattern because I didn't add it when I was drafting the pattern. But for the back, I'm not going to be adding any allowance. Then I added half inches on the down part, and also for the shoulder part I'm going to be leaving half inches for this joining allowance. So I would cut the back also. So from the waistline too, I'm not going to be adding any allowance. So go and watch the detailed video of the pattern drafting. So I've already added my sewing allowance for the backs. No need for adding any extra allowance again. Just cutting it. So just watch how I'm cutting it out. Then from the shoulder also, I'm going to leave half inches away for the joining allowance to the front. So that's all. So I just took a notch on the waistline there. So I'm going to set aside the back and the front now, and the next thing now is to cut out the sleeve. So the sleeve has a pleating at the shoulder, and it also has a pleating and a band at the wrist. So for the sleeve length, I'm going to mark my sleeve length. So I'm going to just minus 2 inches for my sleeve length because I'm still going to be attaching a band to the wrist. So I'm going to be determining the length I want for my bicep. So I just came down by 6 inches, no, 4 inches, because this dress has a gather at the sleeve. So that's why the armhole is like that. So I just mark my round armhole there. Then I'm going to add extra 3 inches to that. Then I will mark 1 inches for my sewing allowance. So, and on the waistline, I'm going to take my round waist. So my round this is 8. So I'll just take mark the 8 inches there because this is also going to have a gathers at the wrist. So that is why I marked the 8 inches plus 1 inch allowance for sewing allowance, up together making 9. Then I'm going to cut it out like so. So after cutting, I'll notch the mid part on the sleeve. So this is me just trying to remeasure what I have there. So I'm going to be cutting a band for it. So I will take the front piece now to my machine, and for the front I'll use bias, and for the back I already cut out the facing. So after I've already attached my front and back together from the shoulder. So I'm just going to take it now and pin it down, front side facing each other. So I'm going to pin it down by the side. So I'm going to pin both sides because this dress is very light and shaking. So I'll pin it down and make sure the front and the back waistline is matching. So take note of that, make sure it is matching. So as you can see mine now, and make sure everything is matching together. So I'm going to take my measurement divided by 2, then I'll go to my sewing machine now and sew it and bring it back to show you what I have. So from the look of things, I've already done that, and I joined my zipper allowance there. So next thing now is to work on the sleeve. The sleeve, like I said, is going to be having a guidance at the waist. So from before we gather, I'm going to leave 2 inches, and then I will sew the sewing allowance. So after doing that, this is the 2 inches I left. So I'm going to close it. Now I'm going to fold it and take it to my sewing machine to sew it down. So I'm pinning where I want to go and sew down. So I'm showing you. So you're going to take it over now and sew it down. So after doing that, I'm going to cut the band for the waist and for the band, because this fabric I'm managing it, so I just have my waist circumference plus some extra allowance, because we are going to be tying the rope. So after determine the length I want for the band, so I'm going to take the midpoint of the band. I'm going to be taking the midpoint of it. So after taking the midpoint of it, I'm going to be dividing my waist circumference into two. So my waist circumference is 8. After dividing it into two, will give me 4 inches allowance. So I'm going to be marking both the 4 inch on both sides, from the middle of the band to the other side. So I'm going to run a stitch across where I'm using my hand to illustrate, and I'm going to do same thing for the second hand. And after that, I'm going to be turning it out to the right side, and I'll use my iron to press it down. I'll use my iron to press it down and to also fold the opening side inside. So I'm going to turn this down and use my iron. I'm going to turn the second one too, because now for the sleeve, the way from where I open it, remember that our waist divided in within. I did not divide my waist when I was cutting it. So what I will do now is to take my band, then I'm going to gather that side to 8 inches. Then I'll take my band. After gathering it, I'll take my band, then I'll insert the sleeve edge inside it. I'll insert it inside because I'll use my iron to press it down so that it will be easy for me to attach. Okay, so I've done that here, and this is what it is looking like after attaching it. Then I've done that for the second sleeve as well, and this is what it is looking like. The next thing now is to go and gather the down parts of the dress too. So before doing that, I'm just going to take the what I have round on the down part of the top of the dress. So to determine the wideness of my gathers. So whatever I measure here, I'm going to measure it carefully all around to the zipper allowance. So whatever I have here, I'm going to be multiplying it into 3. So you can multiply it to 2.5 or into 3, depending on how fullness you want yours to be. So because I'm managing fabric, I later divided it into 2.5. So this is my gathers, and I've already went ahead to double the materials. So one is shorter and one is longer. So after doubling it, I join it, then I gather it. the shoulder, then I'm going to run a stitch across. So I'm done with that now, and this is what it is looking like. I've went ahead to open my zipper allowance that I run a loop stitch on. So I went ahead to open that. So this is what the inside is looking like and the outside. So I'm going to close it right face facing each other now. Then I'm going to bring my zip and fit my zip to that zipper allowance that we have. Then from the down, I'm going to close it. So I'll go knot my machine and do that, and I'll bring it back to show you the final result. So this is the final result we have here. Please, if you have watched my video to this extent, please don't forget to subscribe, like, share and comment. See you in my next video. Bye.